I'm long gold, 1940 even. This is a pretty tight range in here, but we've pushed down below into this previous volume, this minor LVN here, and my expectation is to come up and take out the top side of this range at least. We did have a little bit of a high tick here, but then all of this side to side two-way trade here, and I was also considering a short down here, but it seems that the majority of the volume, and we had limit buying coming in each time, so this is also a little bit of a weak low. So this is definitely an aggressive trade, but then we spiked down here, so I see the potential for all of these longs here are underwater, and then if we can push these guys out here, and then we have all of this weakness. This is not a strong high by any means, so I'll be looking to come back up and take out this range, and then into the 15, the longer term, we have some space up into here, maybe possibly all the way up into the V pocket 1940-280. So pretty decent trade if it can get there. This is a tight range, so again, this is an aggressive trade, but I want to see how this volume is handled once we push above these last sellers and into this wick here, into this high tick. But I think it has a chance to move higher. We'll see how the trade is handled above this high, but we're looking at, we've now just one ticked this high and some increase in volume coming in, so I'm definitely on the right side of this trade so far. But this thing has the potential to come all the way up into this 46.70 LVN here. So that would be my overall long-term target, but likely I'll lock something in. But we have some increased volume coming in here, possible limit selling coming in, but this has all been tested really up into, all the way up into above my target here. So this 46.90, 47 area is where our last untested area is, up into here. So being that I'm up 16 ticks right now, I'm not going to lock anything in quite yet, because I would expect a pullback into these previous highs would be normal. And really not that much of a reaction, so to me that says that there's not really a whole lot of limit selling still up in here. But I'm gonna hold this thing to see if we can get a move. It's about 4 minutes before 7, so I might lock something in just to not get chopped up in the volatility of the open. Something else to think about though as well is that this is still a pretty weak low down here, so if we stay in this balance range, we could easily see price down to take out this low, so locking in something wouldn't be a terrible idea either. There's really not anything to do on this, but likely going to get taken out, I would expect, if we stay in this range. But I'm watching and seeing who's stuck in this trade, and it would definitely be the short side traders that came in here, all of these late shorts, and then definitely in here selling this. So it's looking like it's gonna take me out on any push down, but I'm still gonna hold it. Hopefully we can hold this volume in here and move higher. Delta's also looking good. We haven't really seen any kind of release on that up move. It was pretty mild as well, but looks like I'm gonna get taken out right now. And that's a break even on 19 ticks of equity on that trade that I gave back. Here's that opening volume. So top side of the range held, came all the way down, spiked out this weak low. So that I missed the short trade. Didn't really have any way to get into it on this spike down, and then some pretty significant volume coming in here now. So now I'm just going to be watching this, but this was also an area for a likely reaction at this LVN here at the 36.20, 36.10 area, and that's exactly where price reacted. So on this spike down, takeout of this weak low. We formed this low tick with high volume coming in, definitely limit buying coming in here, and possibility of taking a long side trade, last seller being stuck here. But the issue with the long trade here is that there's really only space up into this 1939.90 area, and we can see we came right back to that volume, limit selling coming back in here, and now be watching this to see what happens when we approach this low. Possible long side trade now that this has been tested anywhere after if the low is broken here, and any kind of a reversal, but last seller being all the way up here, so it's also a little bit of a difficult trade with trouble above into this area, this untested supply from the drop here. But there's some space in there. Definitely not the strongest high again up here, just high ticked by a few ticks to the top of this range, and a ton of weakness in the overnight trade up here. So that's what I'll be watching. Definitely have some large limit buyers in this market here. You can see at the lows here, the lows here. So context and read is more overall bullish, but there's a long way down to any to see where any buying might come back in here. I'm going to try the long here at 36.30. We are definitely pushing up above this LVN now, and we've tried lower twice. Buyers have been accumulating down here and increase in volume, so potential for our last shorts right in this area to be stuck. So I'm gonna give this a try and see if I can get a fill to come all the way really up into this area up here, this 39, almost 40 area. Okay, I was filled at 36.30, and now we're coming back to test the volume. I could just get ripped out of this, but I need this volume in here, this low tick volume, to hold, and this trade will have a chance. About a 15 tick stop, but a nice 36, 35 tick target to the upside. It's a decent little response right there, popping above my entry, but we need to now push out these shorts here, potentially trapped in this trade. So now I'm going to be I'm going to take a reduced risk now below this last low, which gets my risk down to 9 ticks. And we got to see if we can push these late shorts out, see if I'm on the right side of this trade. But again, I like this LVN area here. If it doesn't hold, we have the potential to come back up into this range and really all the way up into this area. This is the second try down lower into this area. So in my mind, if the sellers were in control here, they would be able to hold that and push lower, and they haven't been able to do that yet, and buyers have come in on the limit. So if we can get a nice little push above here, I will de-risk above this high here. I'm in a decent position now. If we can just get a small push. That's a decent little response there. So now I'll be watching this closely to see if we get any kind of increase in volume or sellers limit selling coming back in, because then that may mean that we're going to see higher or lower prices and have that low taken out again. But I'm going to de-risk now. Now we could see sellers coming back in anywhere in here, but I need this to hold. See if some of these shorts will cover and push price higher. I will manage and lock in some profit if we can get a push up higher into this area where we did see some previous selling. Is it really above this high? Is anywhere above that is trouble into this untested supply from the drop from the right before the open. That's a nice little response there. So now I just like to see some covering from anyone who was expecting the continuation move lower. But again, it's fairly balanced this morning, so not a lot of volume, not a lot of trade, which means I should probably look to lock in profit, like on that first one as well. When it held the top side of that range, locking in 10 ticks wouldn't have been bad. But it's a fine line between allowing this to pull back. But to me, in my opinion, right now in the short term, we have more shorts trapped in this market than longs. So and I was just taking out break even on that last move above. High tick this last seller here and are coming down, so I definitely would not be very comfortable in the long side trade here, and expectation would be to see at minimum this volume in this low tick tested, if not move lower. Something to take note of for me, trying to trade long up through this area, it held the top of the range, imbalanced down through, came up, tested here, rejected again, and then on my last long on this, after this low tick, we came back up and held this structure here from below, and then imbalanced down. And so I'm kind of trading against that concept, expecting that we would push back up into this, rather than seeing the potential in this lower side of value holding, and then the trade that took me out on my long actually switching and getting short to come down to the low side for the continuation down. And now we're seeing this buying area, and we'll watch this. But the long trade is difficult now because we're trading directly back up into trouble. Could fill in this space if I got something, but it'd be more of kind of a scalp for that read. But again, likely is to see what happens when we come back to where this limit buyer was, and then this limit buyer from the overnight trade, and it looks like we are continuing lower, so kind of on the wrong side, I would say. Short the ES 43.92.25. Expectation is to come down into this demand here, and we've high ticked on very high volume in an area that I would expect a response to move lower, and we came back up. This is the important, crucial part of this trade, is that we came back up into this volume, and we should have held here, put in some pretty significant volume up here, and then I took the short down below with an expectation to reverse here. But we're definitely not out of the woods yet, but we potentially have a lot of longs trapped. I need this to go at this point, otherwise I'm going to kill this trade. Let's see if we can bust these lows and smash these longs. I will de-risk below a break of the low, the swing low, and we are having some buyers come in here, so this is the last chance I'm going to give this. I'm going to de-risk, actually reduce my risk here, because if it doesn't hold this area, it's likely to rip higher. But pretty big seller here at the 94.50, so I'll reduce my risk behind that. But this has a real nice chance to retrace. Now we just need to bust this. This is our last buyer here, so if we can push them out, it'll be good for the. And that was not the response I wanted to see, so I took a reduced stop behind that volume I was talking about for about 6 ticks. So short 44.05.25 here. Expectation is that we have definitely some longs trapped here now, and I'd be looking for this all the way down to the 98 area, See if these buyers can still respond here. But I'll be looking to get risk off into this area and see if we can flush down below. But 97.75 is a decent area to try to shoot for on this trade. We have to push down below these last buyers here. So it's an aggressive entry expectation that we took out we high ticked there, and now we'll see if the trade idea plays out. I'll feel good about this trade if we can get down below this little LVN here. But we do have a little bit of demand push here, but I'm expecting that to fail. And it's getting a little jumpy. Needs to go here. And have a little bit of volume coming in now. That's not looking good. I need this to go real quick. Right here it needs to go. Just need this small range to get taken out to get my risk off. At this point I'm expecting that the low side of this range gets taken out before the high tick again, but it's holding here, so if it doesn't get down, oh, that's not a great. We got some big volume coming in now, so if this doesn't hold, I'm going to kill this trade. Increase in volume here, limit buying coming in, so I think I'm going to have to kill this trade. I had a reduced stop now, 2 points of risk. There we go. Put my stop now 2 ticks of risk below that big volume that came in, and potentially gonna push out all of these longs here. But it's holding, and that takes me out. I shorted the ES on this trade and then came down, put in this volume, took out the low side of range, and then spiked up. So I took a -2, which it was better than a full stop because I thought that then taking out the top side of this range was likely, and that's exactly what it did. Then we pushed down, and I tried to get back in, and you can see my order is still here at 06, and never got there. Came back to 0525 for the missed fill, and then came all the way down to my target to 93.50. My target was around that 98 area. We can see this 95 was a good target as well. That was Kelly's target. I think he got like 44 ticks or something. I better cancel this order before it fills. But that's frustrating, you know. Early on the trade, this happens to me so often. I get spiked out. Fortunately, I didn't take a full loss on this one, but it would have been if I just held the stop above this high. Last spike out, and then reversal to rip out the last shorts and then the sell-off. So pretty straightforward trade. Happy that I had the read correct in the context, but just not great trade management, so, or not great execution, or an inability to recognize this and then just enter at the level. Kelly had an entry at 96, which was at the level before the push down, which is even better because you could say if this comes down to this area and comes back, you're again taking out the low side of range, and then that's a little bit of a risky trade rather than entering at the level, getting in on, and so you're in before the push down, and then it holds. And if you're right on the context and the read, then the continuation to take out these lows. So, oh well, that's how it goes. A lot of work to do always in this crazy game. I am long 0875 and just took a really deep pullback, almost to take me out a tick away. And this seems like a likely shakeout to the downside, but I don't really feel like I have a very good entry on this trade now because of the depth of that last pullback. So I'm just having a hard time managing this, and hopefully we can push above the volume because I don't really want to take a full stop here. And now we didn't get back above my entry, but by a tick. So I need this to hold and move higher, but my expectation is to take out the highs. But I'm kind of in a stuck position now that I don't really like very much. So I could easily see this flush this low and then reverse on me again, which happens so often to me, but I kind of either have to make a decision right here on how to manage this and take it off or hold on to it. But not real optimistic on because we had that pullback that went so deep, a tick below basically my stop. So it really needs to go here because I don't want to be the stuck long. And now that's kind of where I'm at on this. So I need this to push and go. But I wouldn't be surprised either way if this spikes me out and I take a full loss. But would have been a better entry after this spike down, but what can you do? I do have some supporting volume on the last bar, but I just got to kind of hold it and hope that my idea plays out, but it's not looking good. Taking almost 3 points of heat on this now, and I don't really want to take a full stop. It's 4.5 points, and it looks like I may just be kind of at the mercy of getting spiked out here, which is not the trader you want to be. But it looks like I am the trap trader. Now I just gotta cross my fingers, which is the worst the worst position to be here. Just hoping that my stop holds, which is very unlikely at this point. That last push down was a tick away from taking me out again. Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to see that last flush to take me out, and then possibly the reversal of where I would be looking to re-enter, but not a comfortable position to be in here rather than waiting for what I want to see. There's the spike to take me out for a full loss, 4.5 points, which is way unacceptable. Increased volume. And now, let's see if we reverse every fucking time. I mean, it's so predictable. I mean, I'm sitting in a trade on the wrong side of it. The spike happens, takes me out to this LVN area. And now maybe we do move lower, but this is exactly what I would expect. The liquidity to flush here below these lows. This is the third time down below this area, and now the spike to stop out the stuck traders just like me. And now we'll see if we reverse. Long again at 44.0550. And I'm going for the break of the high here. Not the high a day, but this break. So it seems like we're definitely on the right side of this. All of these sellers here are now trapped. So barring any kind of crazy volume coming back in here, the problem with this trade is I had a pretty significant stop, 5-point stop but I have it's a 2-to-1 R if I can get up into my target at 15. So that's around the high a day, but I think this thing definitely has the potential even to break the high a day. So I may see how this liquidity is handled, but there's big sellers coming in here that are potentially trapped. Would be liquidity above these sellers and the high a day seller, which really wasn't any kind of crazy large volume compared to the opening volume. So now we're looking at having a pullback to this area where these last shorts were, and so I need this to hold. And being that I had such a large stop, I am going to reduce my risk. So now I have 1 point of risk on here. I really don't want it even back to my entry, but we could see one last spike down here before a move up. So it's just frustrating because generally my read has been pretty dang good. I'm either missing fills or I am getting spiked out on one last attempt against my trade, and then it goes in the direction of my trade. So this was a little more aggressive. I could have even taken it down here at this last area, a little bit better entry, but I decided to take the aggressive entry on this last spike down. And then we're into this demand here. Also this whole structure, leaning on this structure. So I like this definitely has a good chance now. And I like the fact that I'm on the right side with the shorts trapped here, the spike out down here that got me on the last trade. I feel like I could have reduced and recognized the fact that I was on the wrong side and just killed it, but it's a fine line between killing it early but I need to really get better at that, trusting my read. And I don't trust my read very well because I'm consistently losing a lot. So, but this one seems to be working out so far. This is looking really nice. I have about 6 points of equity here. This is another potential of where we could see sellers coming in as they did before, but my expectation is that the buyers are in control here, and they're going to push all of these shorts out and go up and break the high. I'm going to stick with my initial target at a break to the 1550. Potentially even a little bit higher to break up to the 1675. We have some size on the dome, really all the way up 1420, 4420. So have a little bit of selling coming in here, but I'm still going to hold it. Nice response there. Push down, found buying here again, and I would expect this high to be taken out now. I'm short gold 31.90, and what happened is we came back down into this area and had this little false break lower, which kind of pulled in some more longs, I feel like, or I pulled in, and then we had this push up, and I was a little hesitant to take this because we didn't come up and trade back up into this break or to test back into this untested demand. But what I'm seeing here is that we have an extremely weak low here, and there's nice liquidity potential to flush all the way down into this 29 area. So that's a pretty good trade if it can get going. I reduced my stop because it was fairly big, and fortunately I put it behind this volume rather than going just break even, and I would have been taken out if I went break even or +1. So I wanted to give it a little bit of chance to hold, so I reduced. So I took like 3 ticks of risk there. I still have it on, and we'll see if it's getting pretty slow late in the day, but also not ideal because we're I was shorting low side of the range, but I think it has a good chance. And this weak low really stands out to me, but it looks like it's not going to hold. I took a -2 on it, didn't hold, so it's possible that it does come up here, but it seems that it's slow now, so I still like the idea and the concept, but I didn't want to leave any risk on, because if we don't hold the low side of this range, the likelihood that we'll come up into the top side and test up into the 33.60 or even all the way up into here 34, so that's just way too much risk for me to hold that. Oh, also, I guess I don't know if I caught it on video. I was in my last trade on the ES, but I took the full stop here on this entry, 920, for a big one, unfortunately, and it wasn't a very good. This is a real minor low tick that I entered on, and I entered in here, and I took a full stop on this last push down, so 4 points. So that's kind of unacceptable. And then again, like I was talking about earlier, this is the more significant spike down that I wanted to see, and into this structure on pretty significant increase in volume, and I entered right here at the level. Expectation to take out all of this liquidity, and I already talked about it, but then I got in at a really nice price, and then we just got this explosion high that filled me on my take profit, 13 points, plus 52 ticks on that trade. So very nice one. So I need to start executing and not giving up. If I'm going to take this crappy entry and on a loss, I have to take this one. And that's what I often do, is I take this, get discouraged on the losers, and then don't enter again, and I miss the big move. So the same thing with this morning. I missed my entry on a pullback. I should have just entered at the level, and I would have captured, a real big trade on that one, almost 10 points. So that's the difference maker for me. If I'm going to take the more aggressive entries, I have to take all of the tries. So I wanted to give an update on how that gold trade played out, and we can see that this has all been, like, that week low is all taken out and flushed really nicely all the way down to the 27.40, which is about 50 ticks below my entry. So we can say that where I was taken out here at the 32.20, we really only came back up to about 32.90, so very little drawdown. And that makes sense too, because the short-term range after this is the imbalance that I entered off of, and now this retraced back to the low side. So this pullback is what was to be expected. I just wasn't comfortable with the potential to take out the top of that range. So, but makes sense if I would have taken a little bit of heat and stayed in this trade for a really nice, at least a 30 tick winner. So a little bit unfortunate on the execution and the management, but you can see that basically we had one more push up to my entry here, and then after that kind of put in this short-term two-way trade, and then just completely sold off. And beautiful trade. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to capture it, and now we are pulling back into this area here. So this played out nicely, just didn't get to capture any of it.